Have you ever felt like you are doing everything right, but still getting nowhere financially? You work hard, and you save every penny, and you put your money into what the experts call a safe and diversified portfolio. But let's be honest for a second. Does it actually feel like you are building a legacy, or does it feel like you are just trying to keep your head above water? The truth that nobody wants to tell you is that traditional diversification is often just a fancy word for mediocrity. In a world where inflation is aggressive and technology is moving at the speed of light and the global economy is resetting, playing it safe is actually the riskiest move you can make. You see, most people are taught to be savers, but savers are the biggest losers in the current financial landscape. The predator is inflation, and it is eating your purchasing power while you sleep. If you want to truly move the needle and change your family's financial destiny, you have to stop thinking like a saver and start thinking like a venture capitalist. You need to stop managing a portfolio and start running an incubator. Today, I want to show you how to shift your mindset from survival to exponential growth. I want to reveal a framework used by the wealthiest people on the planet to turn small bets into massive fortunes. This isn't about gambling or taking reckless risks. It is about understanding a different set of rules called the power law. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to treat your life and your assets as a high-growth startup incubator. The power law revolution. In the world of venture capital, there is a fundamental rule that governs everything. It is called the power law. Most people think of wealth as a bell curve, where most things are average and a few are slightly better or worse. But venture capitalists know that wealth follows a different pattern entirely. In a typical VC fund, 90% of the investments will fail or return almost nothing. But that doesn't matter, because the remaining 10% will return more than the rest of the fund combined. Think about that for a moment. You can be wrong 9 times out of 10 and still become a billionaire. This is what we call asymmetric risk. You have a limited downside, but an unlimited upside. The problem is that most of us were raised to be afraid of being wrong. We were taught that a mistake is a failure. But in your personal incubator, a mistake is just a seed that didn't sprout. If you are trying to be right 100% of the time, you are likely taking such small risks that your rewards will never be life-changing. To build real wealth, you must be willing to embrace the strikeout in order to hit the home run. You only need to be right once with a high-conviction bet to change your life forever. The power law is the engine of the Silicon Valley giants, and it is time you put that engine into your own financial vehicle. When you apply this to your personal portfolio, you stop worrying about every little dip in the market. You stop stressing over the small losses. Instead, you start focusing on the 1 or 2 opportunities that have the potential to return 100 times your initial investment. Building your personal incubator. If your life is the fund, then your skills and your time and your assets are the startups you are funding. The first and most important startup in your incubator is you. Most people forget that their own intellectual property and their own skills are the highest leverage assets they will ever own. If you spend $5,000 on a course that gives you a skill worth an extra $50,000 a year, that is a 10-fold return in just 1 year. That is a better return than any stock market index or real estate deal. You are the founder of your own life, and you need to invest in your own research and development. In the venture capital world, they look for founders who are obsessed and resilient and adaptable. Are you treating yourself like that kind of founder? Think about your skills as a product. Does your product have a high demand in the 2025 market? If the answer is no, then your incubator is funding a failing startup, and it is time to pivot. Start viewing every hour you spend learning a new technology or a new strategy as a seed round of funding. You are nurturing your future self. When you build your incubator, you don't just look at numbers on a screen. You look at the potential for exponential growth in everything you do. This means saying no to the distractions that offer a linear return and saying yes to the projects that could scale. A linear return is when you trade an hour of work for a fixed amount of money. An exponential return is when you build something once and it works for you forever. Your personal incubator should be filled with seeds that have the potential to become massive trees. The venture capital filter. How do you decide what belongs in your incubator? Venture capitalists use a very specific filter to judge every opportunity. They look at 3 things: the team, the market, and the product. When you are looking at an investment, whether it is a stock, a business, or a digital asset, you must use this same filter. First, look at the team. Who is running the company or the project? Do they have a track record of winning, or are they just making empty promises? In your personal life, look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they the kind of team that is going to help your incubator grow, or are they a liability? Second, look at the market. Is the industry growing or is it dying? Investing in a high-growth market is like rowing with the current. It makes everything easier. If you are putting your money and time into industries that are being disrupted by AI without a plan, you are rowing against a waterfall. Third, look at the product. Does this asset solve a real problem for a lot of people? A great product creates its own demand. When you apply this filter to your portfolio, you start to see why most people lose money. They buy things because of hype or because their neighbor told them to. But a venture capitalist never buys based on hype. They buy based on fundamentals and future potential. You need to be ruthless with your filter. If an opportunity doesn't hit all three criteria, you walk away. Remember, the goal of your incubator is not to be busy. The goal is to find the one or high winners that will carry the entire fund. This requires a level of discipline that most people simply do not have. But that discipline is exactly what separates the wealthy from the rest. The seed round for your future. Every great empire started with a small seed round of funding. In your personal financial journey, you need to understand the difference between a seed round and a Series A. A seed round is when you are testing an idea. This is where you take a small amount of capital or time and you see if there is any traction. Maybe you start a small side business, or you buy a small amount of a new technology stock. At this stage, your goal isn't to be rich tomorrow. Your goal is to gather data. If the seed starts to sprout, then you move to Series A. This is where you double down. This is where you commit more resources, because you have proof that it works. The biggest mistake most people make is that they skip the seed round and go straight to all-in. They bet their entire life savings on a single idea before they have any proof. That isn't venture capital. That is just gambling. A smart incubator owner is always running multiple small experiments. They are planting seeds in different corners of the garden. They expect most of them to die, but they are watching closely for the one that starts to grow faster than the others. When you find that winner, you don't hesitate. You feed it the water and the sunlight it needs to become a giant. This is how you build a portfolio that survives any economic reset. You are not dependent on a single source of income. You have a living ecosystem of assets that are all competing for your attention and your capital. The beauty of this mindset is that it takes the pressure off. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be observant. The final breakthrough, the journey from being a saver to being a venture capitalist of your own life, is a psychological one. It requires you to let go of the need for constant safety. It requires you to accept that some things will fail, and that is okay. But most importantly, it requires you to believe that you are capable of finding the winners. The world is changing faster than ever before. The old paths to wealth are being closed off, but new paths are opening up for those who have the vision to see them. If you treat your life as a stagnant account, you will be left behind. But if you treat your life as a personal incubator, the sky is the limit. Every day is an opportunity to find a new founder, to enter a new market, and to refine your product. I want you to take a look at your current life and your current assets. If you were a venture capitalist looking at your portfolio today, would you invest in it? If the answer is no, then today is the day you start making changes. Start by planting one small seed. Learn one new high-value skill. Research one new high-growth market. Change your team by finding mentors who are already where you want to be. The power law is working for someone right now. Why shouldn't it be working for you? If you were to fund one skill or one asset in your life right now as a seed round, knowing it could fail or return 100 times, what would it be and why? I want you to think deeply about that question and share your answer in the comments. Let's build a community of personal architects who are ready to own their future. Now that you have built the foundation for your incubator, you need to know which opportunities to walk away from. Most people fail because they say yes to too many mediocre things. In the next video, I am going to show you the venture capital filter for saying no to 99% of the noise. You will learn how to protect your time and your capital so you are ready when the true home run appears. Your legacy is waiting for you to take the lead. Don't wait for the world to give you permission to be wealthy. Become the general partner of your own life today. Thank you for being here and for choosing to grow. I will see you in the next one. This content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical or financial advice. Please consult with a professional before making any significant changes to your health or investment strategy.